Welcome. I'm Natalie Bastian, Global CMO at Teads, and today I have Brittany Claus, the Director of Advertising and Social Strategy for United. Welcome, Brittany.
Hi, thank you. Appreciate it.
So exciting. We're here at Canvas Worldwide at the Media Summit, and you just got done wrapping up your panel talking about the importance of social strategies in today's landscape, but you do so much more than beyond social at United, and so I thought I'd tee it up and would love to hear about the most recent brand campaign that United did.
Yeah, thank you. One of the things, so I look after our wider advertising and social media strategy, one of those pieces being our overall media from a paid standpoint, our strategy and planning and working in partnership with the Cara team here in LA. And of course, we are a multi-channel advertiser. We lean heavily into video, both in linear and in social, and across the digital space. Really making sure our digital strategy is everything from video to display, making sure that message is in the right spots and in the right channel and hitting that right audience.
Yeah, so based on your most recent brand campaign, what was kind of the core message that you're putting out, the essence of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So last year we actually launched our Good Leads the Way platform, and really the intent of that platform was for it to not be a campaign that starts and finishes. It's really for this to be and continue on for years to come. Good Leads the Way is core to our brand values within sustainability and diversity and customer innovation. And in that first year, we really leaned into that good piece. And now we're really leaning into that lead piece of the platform.
Nice. So content is a huge component of that, and the types of content varying on where they're distributed really matter. You speak to the importance of diversity, sustainability as being core messages. How did those key messages come into play when you were developing that content?
Yeah, well, last year we launched with our anthem, and really the anthem was supposed to be kind of a overall look at everything that we do within this brand platform, right? Sustainability and diversity, like I said, being core pillars to that. Because not only are they core pillars of what we do in advertising, they're core pillars of what we do as a company. We really believe that sustainability and making aviation a sustainable way to fly is really going to be important for the future of flying. We lean into SAF. We actually also recently have introduced Oscar the Grouch as our Chief Trash Officer. So he's been our spokesperson to help us in the sustainability world, but also leaning into diversity and just ensuring that we are always speaking to diverse groups, sticking up for diverse groups where they represent, and making sure that it's really just a part of our overall message. I think a lot of brands actually don't lean into those things because they're not seen as selling the item or selling tickets. But United, we are just very different in that way. We really want to see the long game of our brand and ensure that they are core pillars in our advertising platform.
Well, yeah, and you're looking for loyalists, people that are going to be loyal to United. And as a consumer, right, we're all consumers, you choose brands, based on the value that they bring to you, but also the value that they uphold as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, what we've been really looking at, and I would say, we're really doing a lot of work on looking at who our audience is. But one of the pieces of one of the audiences that we look after, or who we call kind of our good-led traveler, right? Someone who would choose an airline because of the good they do in the world. Hence kind of also the tying back to the name of the platform, right? But making sure that we are finding that person with that right message, right? That sustainability and diversity message, knowing that they would be really core to that audience. I think that kind of goes to the broader picture of our advertising campaign, making sure that we're always reaching the right message to that right person.
Yeah, and so in order to do that, context is key, right?
Absolutely.
How do you factor that in when considering you have the content, choosing which channels that you distribute it on? How does context come into play?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really think about context in all the different channels that we play in. Like I said, that right message, that right audience, but even beyond that, making sure that our message feels organic to the space that it's in. I think overall as a brand, we don't want to kind of feel like we have this ad that just feels out of place. It doesn't resonate. It's not in that core place. And also just that place that we are inserting the ad also fits with our core values, right? They don't have to always be speaking about sustainability or diversity, for instance, but wanting to make sure that where our ad is placed is still a place that has the same sort of higher values as we believe as a brand.
Yeah, and that varies based on the distribution, whether you're on the big screen, you're on mobile, CTV, OTT, it's really all TV. How does that factor in when you consider context and content? Do you lean in to certain messages based on the screen screens that you're buying in?
Yeah, we do. I mean, I think, the message, the length of the message as well, right? I think, overall we know that reaching people on TV is going to be a broader audience than maybe somewhere we're reaching in a digital channel. So how do we ensure that we're being tailored to that, right? Our TV ads might be more wide reaching. They might be more 30 seconds or 15 seconds. But then as we kind of start drilling down to following the eyeballs in other digital channels, how do we make sure that not only are we reaching them with that right message in the right length, but maybe also retargeting them with a follow-up message, right? We know frequency matters, especially in the space of advertising. So wanting to find them again and, reiterate the messaging that we were trying to say with maybe a 6, following that last one.
And when you look at the difference in digital specifically, so if you have the certain message that lives on the TV screen and then across digital, you have the social units, and then you also have more premium quality units that live beyond social, more in the open web and in read. How do you look at the content that you put on those units versus social, or is it intuitive as far as how they're distributed?
Yeah, I think that we definitely look at them differently. I think social being such a specific channel, we even would look at that by platform, right? Like something we put on TikTok, for instance, might be very unique to TikTok versus on Instagram. And I think the same would go for the digital channels. I don't know that we always are so decisive that something that lives in OTT would never show up in digital, would never show up in social. But I do think we make distinct decisions to make sure that that message will resonate properly with that audience that's there.
Yeah, and it's so important. And so when you look at the road ahead and the importance of context in the platforms or in the screens that you're investing in, with the deprecation of the cookie coming, what are you doing to prepare for that time, knowing that we're just under a year away from them going away completely? What do you do, and is there any advice that you give to your fellow marketers that are listening?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny. We've all been preparing for this doomsday for a long time now, and it does feel like maybe it's finally coming, right? And I think we've done a good amount of work to just ensure that we're starting to get the right data correctly put together. I think I'd also be lying if I said that we've done all of the work that we need to do, and that we have the best relationship in working with our lower funnel performance team. I think that we've done a really good job at continuing to build the bridge from one to the other. But I think like a lot of brands, there's still some breaks in the chain, right? And I think that's one thing that we're really working to do now is how do we ensure that we're pulling people from the top all the way through to the bottom, working with partners that can help us move into that cookieless world is also another thing that we're looking at, and just building up that correct data stack to make sure that we're preparing as much as possible. I think kind of the other piece to that is, ensuring that we're preparing leadership and educating folks on what this cookieless world could even bring. What should we be prepared for as a brand? Should we, all of a sudden not be able to do this? Like, are we going to see dips in bookings? What does that mean? How do we then go and challenge that moving forward?
Yeah, it affects the entire funnel and customer experience. So the prep to do now is to really help to prepare for the future. And at Teads, we say cookieless isn't near, it's here. And we've been doing the work over the last several years with partners like you to help brands prepare for what lies ahead. And I think one of the importance of having a strong cookieless offering is the context and contextual data that it sits within the platform, which is funneled by AI. So circling back, as we look ahead, where do you see AI come together in your media strategy, your creative content strategy? Where do you see it?
Yeah, I think what we've done so far with it is kind of dabbled in the space. It's so funny, it was actually a similar question that we were just talking about on the panel. And I think, we've been playing a lot with ChatGPT. What does this mean for our space? Are they replacing us as copywriters or as advertisers? And I think the good news is at least for today, I think our jobs are safe somewhat. But I also think that, it's a great tool. I think every conversation that I've had about AI is it's only as good as the information that you're giving it, right? It's only learning from the tools. It just learns a lot faster than humans, right? Which is the advantage to it. So how do we utilize it as a tool to help us build vision, to help us build storylines, to help us write copy, and then tweak and go further? Because I think we all know as humans, though, our brand's best, right? And making sure we have that human eye on it to bring that full circle to our overall campaign. But why not utilize the tools that we have at hand?
Yeah, and help us move more quickly as I feel like everything's rapidly evolving, and the speed of which we need to operate and execute and be able to change as well. And that's the beauty of the digital media landscape, where you are able to have a high voltage of content and media running, but the ability to be able to pivot when things are working or cultural moments or timely moments happen in the world. Have you experienced that specifically in your travel experience across the companies that you've worked at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that we are, especially in the social world, I mean, things have never moved faster, right? So our ability to react, I think what we even tell our team, we actually have an idea chat that goes on, is, everyone can see something and we're all in different corners of the internet. So how do we make sure that, even if we think maybe everyone has seen this post, why not share it? Why not share the idea, share the trend? How can we jump on it? How can we make sure that we're consistently being culturally relevant in the spots that we are in? And I think how we really think about culture is kind of twofold. One is sort of the piece we were just chatting through with, how do we just become a part of conversation that's already happening? And then the second piece is, how do we create conversation? And that's where Chief Trash Officer really came into play, was, creating a campaign that just is, one, uniquely united. It's a proposition that we talk a lot about with sustainable aviation fuel, but it's also a complicated subject. How do we use a puppet to talk about a complicated subject in a way we actually can capture attention, right? And that's the biggest piece of it all. How do we make sure that we're capturing attention and the content people want to watch where they want to watch it with the right audience?
Yeah, capturing attention to garner comprehension and ultimately action, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. And I think in our world and space that we live in, for the most part, is in kind of awareness and consideration, right? But at the end of the day, yes, we do want people to go and travel and choose United when they do so.
Absolutely. Well, it was so wonderful to connect with you. Thank you so much for joining today. And
thank you so much for having me. This has been a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks so much.